I am Hans and this is my channel. Thank you guys for watching. Today we're going to be riding a couple different motorcycles. I've got the 200cc KPM and I've got the 250 DLX Hawk. And we are going to put them side by side on the street. Obviously, we're not going to take the KPM out in the dirt, so we're just going to do commuter review. So this is basically just going to be riding these bikes on the street, giving them a comparison, giving the top speed, doing all that. We're going to get started right now.
Let's go!
Okay, so let's start off with the KPM. This is a 200cc street legal motorcycle that I purchased on Amazon. It's actually a really cool tank. This reminds me of the tank that I had on one of my first bikes, the Yamaha Vision 550. It's got a very similar style to it. I like that a lot. It's got a cool seat, and they call this like a cafe racer style bike. It's got some mirrors and turn signals and everything that you need to have to ride it on the street came with it. Basically, all I had to do was put the handlebars on, get all these light clusters and the brake clusters put on the handlebars, and then the mirrors and everything else was put together. I did go through and check all of the bolts and make sure that everything was tight, and I've used like Honda specs or something close to it, so it was similar to that as far as the specs go, just to make sure everything was nice and tight and wasn't going to come loose. And probably after about 6 months of riding it, I'll go back through and do that again. It's got some pretty nice tires on it, but really what we're going to do today is just put this and compare it to the Hawk. The Hawk is a dirt bike. It's an enduro, so on off-road. It is plated. It has turn signals, so you can ride it wherever, whenever on the street. So I just wanted to see what the difference is kind of side by side. Ride one, ride the other, whatever I have to do to kind of get a comparison. This one feels way smoother. When you start it up, it just sounds smoother, it feels smoother, whereas the Hawk kind of has more of a, I don't know, dirt bike feel, sound to it, and it's all just marketing. The Hawk is a 250 and this is a 200, but this one feels faster, and it might just because of I'm sure it's because the gear ratio is different in the transmission, which makes it kind of feel like you're getting more pull. That one feels like maybe your first, second gear are just super short, and you don't get a lot of pull out of them because you got to shift out of them so quick. But if you're going up hills or anything like that, that's going to do better as far as being in the dirt and having a little bit lower gear so that you can get up those hills, get through whatever you're trying to get through. This one, you're not ever going to have to worry about that, so they just gear it more for the street. So let's go ahead and give both of these a ride, and we'll see what we think. I am doing these videos for you guys that are thinking about buying something like this, just so you kind of get an idea of what these things will do, what the differences are. I did a whole bunch of videos on some pit bikes, so go check those ones out if you guys are interested. But today we're just putting these two up against each other as far as a test ride. So let's go ahead and start both of these bikes up and listen to the difference in just the way that they sound, and then we'll take them out and give them a ride. This is the Hawk 250. Here it kind of has more of that dirt bike feel. Let's go ahead and start this one up. This is going to have different sound to it. You can hear the engine a lot more. So again, this one's a 200 and this one is a 250, so maybe that's the difference, but I think it's more about the way that they set up the exhaust on both of these. There's a little engine noise in this one too. So that's that. So I think we should just take these things both for a ride, and I'll kind of explain to you how they ride differently. Both of them have been broken in. I think the Hawk has a little over 100 miles on it. This one has probably about 30 miles on it. So they have kind of been broken in, but I am going to take it easy on them. You kind of want to give them about 200 or 300 miles before you really start getting on it. Take your time when you do get these to break them in. Who knows? I mean, who knows how long they're going to last. So far, I've seen people that are riding Hawks from like 2017. So that's pretty good. I mean, if they're still able to maintain them and keep them going, and that Hawk is actually a really good engine. It's basically a knockoff of a Honda. So let's go ahead and take these things for a ride. So this is the EFI version of the Hawk. It's stronger. It's the DLX. It's 250, but it's actually 230 cc's. This is on Amazon. I think I paid $2,700 for it delivered, which is a really good deal for a bike like this. Came with the battery, came with everything that's on it. It's got an inverted fork on the front. Suspension's really good, depending on who you talk to. For me, who's not really been a big dirt bike rider my whole life, it works good enough. But if I got on a Honda or something, I'm sure it would be a lot different. So let's go ahead and get this thing fired up and get it out on a little ride. Ooh, it's cold. She is a coldie. She's a cold one. Hi, doggies. Hello. Alright, we're gonna go down the bumpy driveway. Let this thing warm up a little bit. First gear seems just really like it's like I'm already in fourth gear and we're going 29 miles an hour. I'm not even close to redlining, but it just doesn't feel like there's just not a lot there, I guess. I don't know. It's still really cold, so we're gonna let it warm up and then we'll get it out. But you can definitely feel like the center of gravity is much higher on this bike. And the speedometer on both of these bikes is way off. You can hear the engine sound as well, or the exhaust is just a lot louder. And then this road is super bumpy, so on this bike it's not as bad as on the KPM. This one is definitely handles these bumps a lot better, just 'cause it's kind of meant for dirt roads and that kind of thing, so you don't feel the bumps as much. But on the KPM it is a bumpy little ride, so we're gonna just get through this, get out to the main road. So fourth gear, fifth gear, fourth gear, fifth gear there. Going 48, which is actually probably closer to 45 or so. 53. I don't have any more gears left either. This is only a 5-speed, whereas my other one, or the KPM, is a 6-speed. So we're going 51. It's probably warmed up enough now that we can kind of try to see what we can do with it. Only as fast as your slowest player, and this guy in front of me is getting out of my way. Yeehaw! Okay, we're in fifth gear. We're doing 54 miles an hour. I gotta tell you, this does not feel super comfy. Like 60 miles an hour, 61. Definitely feels sketchy on this thing. Like I'm not gonna dive into a corner going
speed in this thing for sure. Oh, little doggy wants to kill me. Some guy with this little doggy. Down in fourth gear. Oh my gosh, look at the mountains. What a view. What a view. Just this, I mean, right here just feels sketchy. Like, corners not, I don't know, like on a street bike or even on other dirt bikes I've ridden, when you go into corners it feels very solid, and this one feels like it kind of wants to, like, it's just shaky, like it's slipping out or something. I know it's not, but oh, look at the mountains. Oh, can you guys see those mountains? Oh my gosh, how beautiful is this? Yeah, and I don't feel comfortable laying into these corners at all on this bike. I mean, maybe somebody, you other guys out there, maybe, but 20 mile an hour corner, 135, I wouldn't have gone any faster than that around that, where on a dirt bike or on a street bike, I would have felt more comfortable for sure. So, down here at the park, ooh, look at this old car. Yeah, buddy. That thing is sweet. Woo! Alright. Here we go. Now we're going to go back up this hill. This is a pretty good incline here, so we're going to really get a good test on how well it does pulling uphill. I think that the KPM did better coming up this hill. Maybe not. Again, it's just the way that the gears are put together. Again, like this corner, the steering in it just feels like it's kind of, I don't know how to describe it, but it's like when you're going in dirt and you kind of start losing your back end, and it kind of like wants to stand up or lay back down. It's not that it's sliding out, it's just that it kind of is going back and forth between standing up and laying down. Like it's really, I don't know, it doesn't feel good. Overall on this thing, the brakes are good. The brake on the rear brakes and the front brakes are really good. Been pretty impressed for a 250 for this size bike. Everything on here is really impressive for the price. Again, I think I paid $2,700 for this thing on Amazon, and that was delivered. I know that they have had problems getting them here, so they may raise the price. So you might be $27 plus $299 shipping. I'm not really sure, but I'm going to leave the description of this bike and the link below in the comments if you guys want to go check it out on Amazon. And if you do want to buy one, click on my link because it helps me be able to buy more bikes and keep you guys informed on what's going on with them and how they run and how they are. So again, my 2 cents on this one is it's a good dirt bike. You can ride it on the road, but it's not like riding a street bike. Now, in comparison, and I actually want to tell you, if I was to take that KPM out on the dirt, I would say the exact opposite, that thing sucks in the dirt and it's better on the road, but that's what they're built for. This was built to do a little bit of both. It does the dirt better than the roads, but that is acceptable. I mean, I think that they did a wonderful job on this bike. So this is the 250 230cc. Does have a kickstart as well, so if you do get stranded someplace, I have tried to use it before and it did not start the bike. So what I ended up doing, and I think everybody should do, is put a battery tender, which I've got right here. Get one of these for your bike. They're cheap at Harbor Freight, they're cheap online. I got 2 of them, a 2-pack for $24 on Amazon. I have one on this bike, I have one on that bike, I've got one on my BMW, and I have one on my Porsche, because the Porsche sits in the garage quite a bit. So that's the Hawk. Here we go, the KPM 157. I get on this thing, let's see, I can almost flat foot on both sides, so it's much shorter. So we'll turn it on, fire it up. You can just hear it already. It's much quieter. Different bike altogether. And one of the things I don't like about this bike is having this gauge down here. I'd much rather have a cluster up here. It's hard to see because you got to look down, and when you're riding your motorcycle, the last thing you want to be doing is going like this to see how fast you're going, because anything can be happening in front of you. When you're looking down like this, you got to keep your eyes up on the road so you can see what's going on. So as frequently as you need to see how fast you're going, I found it easier just to put a little speedometer using my phone. That way I've got it up a little bit higher so I can see it, and it's a little bit more accessible than looking down at this. As this indicates, you got what gear you're in. So right now we're in first gear. There's second, third, fourth. There's neutral. 32 miles on this one right now, and we're going to take it for a ride and put a couple more miles on it. So we're going to do the same ride that we did before, so here we go. Let's check it out. And right away, I could tell you the suspension on this one is much stiffer, but that's because it's meant for the street, not for the dirt. Here we go. Let's go down this hill, and this bike is cold right now too, so we're gonna just let it warm up. But right away you can see how much smoother it is. This is second gear, we're going 20 miles an hour. In third gear, we're going to be going as fast as we want to go on this. It's about 30 miles an hour here, so I think this is a 25 mile an hour road. So this one, the rear brake is not as good. It was worse when I got it. I think there's just some oil or something on the brake caliper. But this one feels so much better in the corners. Way more fun. Like, I can really dive into the corners on this thing and not worry about it. It's just much smoother too. It's the way that the thing rides. So this is the bumpy road, and on this bike, this is the road I don't want to show, so we're gonna warp into this one. So 1, 2, wow, look at that, man. Right here at the stop sign. How cool is that? Here we go. Now this bike's a little bit warmer now, so I can kind of get a feel for it. Right now I'm in 5th gear, and I'm going 52 miles an hour. I still have a whole gear left, so according to this gear, or this thing, I'm going 54. This one says 51. I believe this one more than I believe that one, but this is running off of satellite, so who knows. But this is a way smoother bike, and it's like way more comfortable on the road, in the corners. Obviously bumpy roads are not going to be that great, but most roads where I live are fairly smooth, except for the one that I live on. That is the bumpiest road in my town. It's riding really nice. It's very, very smooth. And if you were just looking for a commuter to get back and forth to work or whatever, this is a great bike. I wouldn't want to have to ride this on the highway for more than a mile or two. If you have just a short little stint that you can get on, you're going to be pushing it to try to get it to go fast enough to stay on the highway and keep up with traffic. Especially if you're in California where the speed limit's like 75, forget about it. People are going to be super mad at you. Holding up traffic. Alright. Yeah, again, this bike is just so much, I feel way more confident in the corners on this thing than I did on the other one, and I'm not afraid to kind of lay into it a little bit more. what a cool bike. What a cool, fun bike. This thing is just a hoot. Can I say hoot? It's a kick in the pants. It's a hoot with a kick. Hoot and a kick. Yeah, so I'm stoked on this bike. I think this is a great option for people that need something just to get around or commute to work on. And they get really good miles to the gallon are ridiculous on these things. So here's that 20-mile-an-hour corner. And now we're going up a pretty good hill, and this thing is pulling way better than the Hawk did. And again, I think it just has to do with the gear ratio, possibly the weight, probably a lot to do with the tires, but it's definitely hooking up a lot better. Like, it feels way more comfortable going into those turns. Okay, here's our top speed opportunity. What gear am I in? 5th gear. Let's do this. So I'm pegged right now. This is at 5th gear. As fast as this thing would go. There's 6th gear. Okay, I'm slow down for these corners as much as I love corners and all. Oh, look at this guy. What the f*** are you doing? I don't know. What the hell? You gotta watch out for these guys on bikes. So the temperature's up. We're good on this thing. So we're gonna go for the top speed here. Let's see what happens. A little busier traffic wise today. Let's do it. Go! Top speed, here we come. 9,000 RPMs. 55. 60, we did it. 61. And it's a 45, so we gotta slow her down. But that's terrible. That's a terrible top speed. Now the guy behind me is like, dude, why'd you pull out in front of me if your bike takes 15 seconds to get to 60 miles an hour? 61, whatever that was. Get out of his way. Like I said in my other video, I think these are great commuter bikes. They're really good for just zipping around town, doing that kind of thing. I wouldn't want to ride this thing on the highway. If you guys can get someplace on the back roads to get to wherever you're going, this would be a good option to have a little fun. And again, just kind of go explore some roads that you haven't seen or gone down. So let's do a little breakdown. Who is this bike for? This bike is for somebody who lives in a city or lives in a neighborhood that doesn't have to go too far to get to work. Or, you know, I would say if your roads are 45 miles an hour and you can go 50 or 55 on those roads, that this is a great bike. But if you have to get on the highway, don't get one of these. This is not the answer. You're gonna need something with more power for sure to keep you up at that, you know, 65, 75 miles an hour, at least, so you're not pissing everybody off behind you.
So to sum this thing up is obviously pretty easy. If you want a street bike, buy one of these. If you want to be able to go on off-road, buy one of these. It was a fun experiment because I definitely could tell a huge difference just riding each bike. The 200 didn't seem like it was lacking power. Like if that was a 250 engine in that thing and it was geared the way that it is, you might be able to go 65, 70 miles an hour, no problem. And it felt way more comfortable going those speeds on this bike than it did on the Hawk. When you got up into those higher speeds, it started, the way I would describe it, again, I was trying to describe it as I was riding, but it was hard. But when you go into a corner and your bike starts to slide out, it either wants to go this way or it wants to come up. And that's what it felt like. It was just kind of like, you know, all the corners, it kind of felt like it was, maybe it was because the suspension's too soft or something like that, but it was just really floaty. That's how I'd put it. So that's my 2 cents, you guys. I really appreciate you watching. If you guys want to click the links below to see these bikes, feel free to do so. It does help me out if you do use my link to buy it. That way I get a little credit for it and I can keep buying more bikes to show you guys these kind of reviews. So again, thanks for watching and you will see me in the next video.
Let's go!